Ever been inside the room and just didn't know what to say? Well, tune in to Ignition Zones. This episode, we'll be going right into it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me for another episode of Ignition Zones. Visionaries, start your engines. And when I say that, I really mean start it. I mean, get to it and stop procrastinating. I see you over there procrastinating, not doing what you're supposed to be doing, not doing what you know you called to do, not living the purpose-driven life that you're supposed to be. You are up to a lot and you playing. You sitting on it. Like I met somebody the other day. I went networking. I go to networking rooms and events all the time. And I saw this guy. I ran into him. I'm not going to say his name. You probably know who it is. And he was like, oh, I'm trying to get into real estate. Because for those of you who don't know, I used to do a lot of real estate. And now I'm in the tech space. And I saw him and he was just like, I want to get involved in real estate. I was like, cool, great. I was like, what property you got? He listed out the address. He was like, well, here's the address. And then I was like, cool. How you gonna fund it? He was like, well, my buddy gonna fund it. And he got the investment and he gonna do all that. And I was like, cool. And then he was like, I'm actually starting a development company. And I was like, well, what do you need? Because that's my 3-part formula, right? Like everybody I talk to, I go and look for the 3 parts to the formula. And he was like, I got the capital, got the opportunity, I got the skill set, know-how. Man, I'm just bullshit. I know you bull. I know you plan. I know. It has nothing to do with any of the things you said. You are going in all of these rooms and just passing them by, like not getting what you're supposed to out of the rooms. Like, what do you, and he was just like, I don't know what to do. And so I was like, you know what? Let me break down how I go to a room, get what I need out of it, and get to work. Because a lot of times I say I'm in a room and I'm going to networking events, and people are like, well, I network all the time. I meet people all the time. Well, are you effectively networking? Are you doing it in the right way that's going to get you further along to your results and get you closer to done? Because a lot of times you just thinking about it, you're talking about it, you playing with it, and people see and know that you're playing with it too in your network. And they know it's only so many times you can keep coming to these events and like not have any results or not prove anything. So there is a matrix to networking, and I want to talk about it. So that's what we're going to open up in this episode. Because it's so many times, I'm not going to lie, I host networking events and I go sometimes and I'll hear people talking and they're talking about sports. Don't get me wrong. What happened at the Super Bowl halftime show is very important. And I'm sure they need to know about it. But is that the time right now? Is that the time where I only got 30 minutes in my whole day to network? And that's where I'm going to spend my time now talking about sports? We're visionary leaders. You're up to something bigger than that. So you got to have bigger conversations. Now, I'm going to break down my 5-part series. And from this 5-part series, you should be able to go and master any room, right? So when you get in the room, break the ice. How do you break the ice? Well, I like to get a lay of the land at first. So sometimes it may be going to the bar or going to the food or something that they have activity when you walk into a room. Because I always like to get a map of where it is and settle myself in the room, get my space, get myself together. Make sure my breath okay. You know, you want to make sure all of these things okay before you start interacting and talking with people. Then you want to make sure, like, what is my call to action? What do I want to leave here with? I generally put things into these 3 categories. And these 3 categories, I make my rounds. 1, it starts with who you can learn from. Who is in the room that you can learn from? Everybody is going to see the person on the stage. Everybody's going to run to them. So you got like, cool. That's somebody I can learn from. Maybe they're in the room and they got a little bit more experience than you in something. That's somebody you can learn from. Okay, cool. Let me target that person. Next, you're going to want to know who you can partner with. Who is on your level that they may have the mustard to your ketchup. The complementarity, they're not competing. They have resources that you can use, and even your clients can naturally stumble upon them. The third one is who's a client? Who is somebody that they can learn from you and what you got? You can make them a client. You can turn them into somebody that can pay you for the resource or anything like that. And the fourth one, we're going to go into this a little bit later, but you refer out. And that's going to be really key for people you don't use. Who else in your network could use them? You'd be surprised at how much this little token and this little nugget can really help you in other circles, or when people need to refer you to people. They'll notice send them back, oh, I got to return the favor. So you'll be surprised with that. But the biggest thing is sitting back, observing the room. Who in the room can fall into one of those three buckets? If they can't fall in one of those four buckets, I said three, but really four buckets. Because if they can't fall in one of the three, where either you can learn from them, or you can partner with them, or you can make them a client. The fourth one is, who else in your network can you refer them to? It's kind of a duh. But if you look around the room like, okay, and I don't necessarily put people in the bucket before I talk to them. Talking to them helps you to understand where they fit based on their needs. So a lot of times I may see somebody, I may try to find if somebody is not filling one of those buckets right away. Let me try to find somebody who looks like they may be open for conversation. Let me find a straggler, somebody, maybe they're trying to do the same thing you're doing, standing over to the side and scoping the room out. Let me go up to them. How does this thing work? How do we break the ice? Somebody's standing over there that I want to talk to, and I'm too nervous. I don't know what to say. I don't want to ramble over my words. Do not, whatever you do, do not go to them and just start gurgitating and telling them all about yourself and, hey, whatever, because that is the fastest way to get ignored. Have you ever been walking on the street and you're having your own conversation in your own head, or maybe even talking to somebody else, and somebody's like, hey, and they trying to get you like, yeah. And they just come and start talking about themselves. Don't let that be you. Do not let that be you. I like to go up. You go up with a compliment. Now, I want it to be genuine, so I find a genuine compliment. So I'm not saying, hey, I love your hair, and they're bald-headed. That doesn't make sense. Just because you're like, well, I said I was going to compliment. I mean, maybe a shirt tie. Maybe it's something to break the ice that feels natural, that you would naturally, ordinarily say. I'm not going to lie, because I practice gratitude. I tend to find the good in anything. Even if you took me to the worst thing ever, I would find something to be grateful for, something to compliment someone on. Because even I was going through the checkout line the other day. The cash register, she kind of looked like, it's 6:30. I get off at 7. I'm over it. And I just remember giving her a compliment because she had on some beautiful earrings. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love those earrings. She was like, her attitude changed. Her attitude changed. She was way more receptive. That is what a compliment does. It helps to disarm. It helps to, somebody could be thinking whatever, but if you find something to compliment, hair, nose, smell, is something. People even told me I have nice makeup. I'm like, I don't know if that's a compliment, but I don't know if I want you to see I got no makeup, but they said, nice makeup, whatever. I know, okay. You're just trying to break the ice. So I let it slide. But find a compliment that helps to break the ice. Even I had somebody watching me networking and they were like, I see how you move. I see how you work the room. Because remember, each moment is a new interaction. They don't know your last interaction. They don't know what you had for breakfast that morning. They may not be around even for the midnight. But right now, they're new moment, fresh energy. Do not let the last conversation or the problems of your day be the burden of who they get to meet when they come right there. That is not the time to go be like, how you doing? Well, if I don't know you personally, I shouldn't find out personal information at the first meeting. If I don't know you. Now, if I know you personally, cool. How the husband, how the kids, let's talk. Let's go to the side, let's gossip. But if I don't know you, I don't need to know all of the other things that you have worried about. Because the first thing they're going to think about, I got all this too. They talk about their kid, I got my child too. So that could be a thing that shuts people down in relationships. So you want to find a way to break the ice that makes sense to who you naturally are. Then find the commonality. Find, like in math, we used to call it the lowest common denominator. How do we connect? Are we connecting because we both visionaries? Are we connecting because we both women? Are we connecting because we something? Where is the connectivity? How do we connect? That's one of the things people skip over because they want to come in and start talking about themselves. They want to come in and tell you everything. I can read that on a website. I can read that later. I don't need to know your whole history. I need to understand how we connect. And the sooner you get to this, the sooner, because in networking situations, you're talking about 20 minutes max that you may be in front of somebody. And that's if you hog the conversation or you hog the time, because you should be meeting with multiple people, but we'll get to that later. But 20 minutes max is the longest you got to tell this person about your entire life. You want in this short conversation for them to be able to see, I need to talk to her. I need to explore more. Your job in this 50-second interaction is to intrigue them for the next appointment. The next appointment is where you sit down and give them your history. Like, for example, I worked 10 years in media. Worked at CBS, worked at Outfront Media. I also worked 10 years in real estate. Started out as a wholesaler, hedge fund manager, all of the things. Now I'm in tech. So if I'm going to a networking event about real estate, let's say, is it wise to be in there talking about my 10-year media career? Who knows? Do I meet somebody that's in media? If I meet somebody that has that background and I find the commonality, I can bring it out. But it's not necessarily something that I'm doing on the first conversation. And let me just tell you all of my business and that I was born in this year and I grew up and was born and raised. Now, I did find somebody networking the other day. We went to the same high school. So I found the commonality. You know, I have my ways of getting in the, where are you from? You from Atlanta? There's not many people from Atlanta. And when I found out you're from Atlanta, I'm like, well, what high school did you go to? So is some information that there's a strategy of finding it out, but it's not like I'm about to just come up to you and just give you my whole life story. We only have a slither of time. I need to make sure that what I came in here to get, I'm going to get. Do you have it? And what bucket or category do I need to put you in? Now, I'm not going to ask them when you get up to them, like, will you marry me? Yes or no? Calm down. This is just networking. But you want to be strategic about how you do it. You know how it is. When you're trying to get some information, you don't ask the actual information. You make it conversational. And that's how you're able to see what their pain points are. If I were you, I would more so get to the pain point, because whatever the pain point is, that's how you find the commonality of how what you have can be a solution. That's how I've been able to pair and partner with visionary leaders after only 5 minutes of working with them, because I listen. I don't have to go telling them everywhere of who I've been and where I've been going, but I listen to their pain points. I know that once I've broken the ice, I can come in and find the commonality, and I'm curious now. Ooh, when was the last time you done something you never thought possible? What was the last deal you had sitting on the table that you didn't explore? Might be a good time to ask. Stay curious, but ask intelligent questions. Don't ask, like, unless you're at a sporting event, don't ask what sport team won, what Super Bowl thing, or what I went on vacation. Like, I remember I was eating, or remember I said go to get the food first. I was eating and someone talked to me and he was like, oh, we had this food when I was in Mexico. And he was telling me all about his Mexican trip. Now, ask me what he does. I don't know. And we were in a really nice room. So I know if you were in that room, you had to be somebody. But I don't even remember his name. I just remember his trip to Mexico and the food he ate in Mexico wasn't good. I wish I could tell you something more relevant to who he was, because I was really excited about our conversation. But in that time, because by the time I think we really did get to the meat of it, I think the thing we were at, because we were only networking before the event. So the event actually started. And so it was like, shh, be quiet. And by the time I was be quiet, I think he slipped out the back and I never got his information. And I was like, we could have started at go. We could have, because like I said, I know he was somebody I wanted to connect with and we really jammed, but I don't know if I needed to know about what meal you didn't like in Mexico for the only 5 minutes we'll ever interact and connect. And the millions of dollars that you're probably sitting on, the ideas and things that I'm sitting on, and what we can do, but didn't happen because we're thinking about the meals in Mexico. Now, to him, maybe he didn't come there with this in mind. Maybe he didn't even care about connecting or networking. I've seen that too. Because a lot of times you're going to find from the mentors or the people that are ahead, they don't need any more context. I found myself in that same place sometimes, depending upon the room I'm in. So I get it. But you got to kiss a lot of frogs to get to your desired goal, because he may not have had a target, but I had a target. I know that when I walk in this room, I'm walking out with at least 10 contacts, at least 10 meetings that I can set up to start moving things forward, to get closer. Because oftentimes when I meet people and they'll be like, well, I don't know anybody. And I don't know anybody in the sector with this skill set. Well, start networking and moving to the right rooms. Well, I was going to them rooms, but did you talk to the right people? Or did you get comfortable? Now, I know I said go scope them out and get in the corner, but don't you stay in that corner. Like, if you know anything about Atlanta, we got some good lemon pepper wings. My girl, she was chowing down in the corner one time on some good lemon pepper wings, and they were good, and we were hungry. But I was like, don't stay here. Yeah, you went and you had your fun with a lemon hot. Don't let them be fried hard and wet. Lemon pepper. That's a good combination. But don't get so caught up in a networking event that you forget what you came there for. And she spent the whole 30 minutes chowing down that chicken. And I know she was probably nervous, and that's probably why she was sitting over in the corner. But I invited her to my event specifically because I had conversations with her, and I knew that she needed capital for her event. I had someone there I wanted her to meet. Now, me running around, I was busy. I couldn't connect them, but I just knew she was going to come across him because he literally, and I get calls like this all the time. That's what made me start hosting networking events where investors or people with capital, hey, Jess, where do I put my money? I need funding. I mean, I need to put my money in a deal. I need to go and make an investment. I didn't know these things. Before I got into real estate, I didn't know this thing existed, that people did that. I didn't know that was a thing. But he was right there in the room. He invested in the very thing that she needed or she had. But she was over there eating chicken. Lemon pepper wings. Hot. And I'm like, you over here eating chicken? And the answer is right here. Not focused. Not staying curious. Not always finding something to talk about that can advance what you're working on. Okay, this is a little different here. We just want to take a little pause. I want you to make sure that you check out this new app, Pocket Sound Bath. It's amazing. Take a pause. Do nothing. Stop that. Okay, now get back to the episode. It's a lot of great information. I just want to make sure you take a pause. The next thing I will say is don't waste your time with filibusters. So if you know anything about a filibuster, what is a filibuster? People who can talk and talk. And I'm a talker. I am a talker. But when I go to networking events, I am not talking to somebody I either came with or already know. Like, I love my friends. And if you see me out, if you see me dip and dodge, I'm trying to meet somebody I don't know. Because if I know you, great, let's go meet over coffee. But if I only got 20-minute window in this room with this many millions of people, this much net worth, I'll say, this much millions of dollars, I came in with an opportunity ready. I stayed ready with an opportunity. So I'm coming in here to maximize that. So the last thing I need to be is in the corner with somebody I can talk to tomorrow. And I appreciate it. Now, there was an exception. I will make an exception. There was somebody that I met at a networking event, or I saw at a networking event that I haven't seen in a while. And it was actually great that we reconnected. So I can make an exception, but I'm not about to spend the entire time talking to her. Like I said, most times when you go to events, you'll have about 45-minute window to network or even after. But you don't want to waste that with just one person. Have a goal of at least networking with at least 5 to 10 people. Now, the smaller the venue, closer to 5. The larger the venue, then we can go up to 10. But you really want to have a target that you are like, okay, because 3 of them probably won't hit you back. 2 of them, maybe you go out with, but all it takes is 1. All it takes is the one right relationship, because especially if you classify them as people you can learn from, people you can collaborate with, people that can become a potential client, or someone you can refer out to your network. Because trust you me, your network is like a baby. It just needs to be fed. And if you're able to come bring it food of someone else that you met, and someone else may need that. I looked at it like old maid, right? So I said, I'm in real estate, I'm in tech, and I'm in media. So I may meet somebody who's a CPA. Maybe that doesn't fall under any of my buckets. But my friend here, who just mentioned she's stressed out because she needs to do her taxes before the deadline and she hasn't caught up in the last 5 years. Oh, my friend, you need to talk to my girl. My girl needs what you have. Now, to somebody you may be like, I'm not in finance. I ain't gonna. But I guarantee you, if you can help be the solution to your girl's problem, you'd be surprised who she turns around to be to you. Even for somebody, for example, I met somebody who's a mentor. There's somebody I can learn from. Right? I found the commonality. I broke the ice. I stayed curious, but there's somebody I can learn from. They're a mentor. I listen to what their problems are. So if I meet somebody in that room that can solve their problem, do you know how many callbacks I've gotten just from that technique itself? Because like I just said, if it's a huge event and you're only meeting 10 people, there are hundreds of people there. I can't meet everybody. So if you've already qualified somebody that I needed to talk to based off what I've already expressed, you help to make my matchmaking I look at it like speed dating almost, like, especially when you start referring out, like, oh, this person matched with that person, connect. This person matched with that person, connect. And I started to find out that, well, yes, I loved having things that connected for me. It was even more important to connect other people. That's what makes my network so strong, because they know that I will speak their names in rooms they're not in if I know you and I know what you need. And they're just like, Jessica, how do you, and to me, I mean, it's somebody, I don't want to say a throwaway because everybody is valuable, but it was somebody that, I mean, they're in bungee jumping cords. I don't have any use for bungee jumping cords, but if I meet somebody who's adventurous and ready to take this baby to the next level, I mean, hey, I actually just met somebody in bungee jumping. Because you know what I found? And you can go look at my other episodes where I talk about the power of manifestation and a pause. But you know what I found? That the second you make a declaration, it's so many times I made a declaration I didn't even know. Partly the declaration of $100 million. And somebody's like, oh, you're in the declaration for $100 million? Well, I just talked to Sally, and Sally's working for $100 million too. How about you connect? What? Power of declaration. The power of centering myself before I go into a room. I done got so good with it now. I say, hey, look, it's any room that I go into, I expect that I'm going to meet somebody that is going to change my life, because I realize we're just one deal away. Like when we were trying to go get a hotel, do you know how many years it took us to find the right deal before we went in the right room and we networked with the right person, and that deal happened in less than 90 days? After we spent years and years and years looking for the person, looking for the opportunity, when we just network, we trimmed that thing down and was like, let's do some intentional networking. Because we were networking. So I'm not going to say we weren't networking for years. We were networking, intentional networking. with this framework networking. You break the ice, you find the commonality, you stay curious, and you understand what bucket people fall into. So you know how to follow up. Because the biggest thing is you want to sell to the appointment. Do not. Now, I know you have a small window. You want to keep them curious and finding out more. Like me asking one of my mentors now, when was the last time he did something for the first time? It's like, it felt like the who touched me moment. Like when I read the parable and it was like Jesus was in the crowd and everybody touched his robe. And then he was like, who touched me? And it was like, well, everybody's touching you. It was like, no, but somebody touched me different. That's how it felt like when I asked him that question. When was the last time you did something for the first time? And he's over 80 years old. And in the crowd of people, of all the people, because he's very accomplished, of all the people who's ever come to him and talked to him and whatever, he looking at me like, no one's ever asked me that. So now he wants to sit down with me because he's like, you're curious and there's something different about you. This is what helped to set me apart. I wasn't just asking you to listen to who I am or what I can do, because I know that. I know who Jessica is. Me telling you that, you're going to feel it. You're going to understand it. So now, how do I come to you and find out about you? Because I can walk away knowing what I know, and I can read about you. I want to know something that I may not have seen on the blogs, that I may not can read or Google. I want to know something different about you. And it was just like, now when I call, he picks up. Now when I need something, we can text, we can message, because he's like, there's something different. And it's so interesting. I've seen it happen where I give people my card, I give people my information, I'll ask an intriguing question that stops them in their tracks. And when they get stopped, they ask me for my number. And I'm like, well, you got my card. And they're just like, no, I need your number. Like, that's when I know this is something different. No, don't get me wrong. I love cards. I'll take your card and I may give you mine. But I noticed it was something different when I got to the point where I was just like, I got the number in the phone. And sometimes don't let them when they take a picture so they remember you. Because now, if I ask you who you are, please don't take offense. Because there will. I have so many people in my phone that I may not have their name tied to it. But you want to be descriptive when you send them a message. Take a picture with them there. Send it so they'll remember. Because sometimes it may not be a fault of their own, especially if they're a mentor. A lot of people are coming to them. So take a picture with them so they remember you. Put your name in the text. Put why and how you connect it. Like a simple. Here again, I have so many projects that I'm doing. We're working on the pause, ATL. We got all this stuff, right? When I meet that person, I am not telling them all of what I'm doing. Hey, I interned with Emma Bourne and CBS back in the day. And, I worked at Outfront Media, and then that got me to my career in real estate. And then I started as a wholesaler, and then we did wholesaling for a couple of years in development. And then after development, we did this, and then all these things, and then it happened. And then, that's what it starts to sound like after a while. And that's what I sound like. If you go too long, and honestly, I look at a conversation like a tennis match. It should go back and forth and back and forth. If you have been talking longer than a minute and a half, unless you are that mentor to them, unless you are imparting some deep knowledge that I could not have found out, please don't be talking over a minute and a half. We're going to keep it at about, if you like, how long? Go back and forth. End it with the question. Hey, you understand what I'm saying? Ask them a question. Get curious about them. Do not go in there and just throw up all of your information on them. You think you're going to get the call back? Because they're going to be like, if they wasted my 20 minutes, you think I'm about to give them an hour? They're going to waste an hour. No. Or you can find out, how do I become one of your clients? If you're going to do it like that. We need to talk for an hour. Like I said, unless the conversation is that deep, unless we're about to go build. And these days with the tools of AI, it shouldn't even take me that long to build. Like I can build somebody a website and a whole application that can go on the app stores in less than a conversation. It should not take we don't need to be talking. I don't need to hear the story of all the things that happen. Cut to how we can connect. Because if you want to start telling stories, I can tell you the story of my grandma this and my mama that. I can tell you stories. We can get the stories now, things that are happening. But I want to use the time most effectively. And I'm always thinking of, where's the opportunity? Where is the skill set and know-how? Where is the capital to execute? Whenever anybody tells me a story, I'm looking and fishing and filtering for those three things. Okay, cool. And if one of them's missing, I know where the target is. But I put people in those buckets because if it's a mentor, somebody I can learn from, make the conversation even shorter. If it's somebody you can partner with, get to the point. Where is the partnerships? Where do the synergies lie? What is going to make this a win-win agreement? What are going to be the targets? When is the next time that we can meet to hold each other accountable? If it's somebody that I can meet as a client, that's even, maybe you can have a little longer conversation, but like I said, you still want it to be like a tennis match. We're going back and forth. They say something, I say something. They say something, I say something. It shouldn't be, I just gave this great lecture. You ain't on stage. They did not put you on. The person who put that event together did not put you on stage. Then nobody come. I love you, but did nobody come to see you? They didn't. So please. I know it was a lot of great information, but if you are ready to make that change, go to www.ignitionzones.com and enter to join our Spark program. It will change your life. Be courteous. Let them go meet other people too. Set to the appointment. I want to talk to you enough that you're curious enough that you're like, let's go grab coffee. That's the magic. That's the moment that you want, is the let's go grab coffee. Because that's when you can research them more. They can research you more. The conversation is more relaxed. Now we can talk. And I love a good coffee because dinner, I'm married. I don't need to go to dinner. Lunch, I don't even know if I want you to have that much of my time. Coffee, quick 15 minutes. We can get in what we need. If there needs to be more than that, then we partnering on something. If after I met with you and we need to meet you for longer than a 15-minute coffee, what are we building? What contract are we signing? What are we doing? No new friends. Don't need them. You're not networking for friendships. You're networking for strategic opportunities. I like to network for leverage. I can't do everything. Y'all know my plane analogy. If you want to go to, where is it? Europe, Africa, Asia. If I want to go those places, I'm not about to go become a pilot and save up to get a plane and do all that. I will leverage the experience of someone else that's been doing that for years. That's the power of what you get to do through networking. That 5-part formula is what I like to call my networking matrix, where I put all of those things together, and that's what swirls and creates the opportunities. Because especially when I'm telling you, when I really tapped into how I referred out people, like, hey, I may have found them, but they're a really great contact for you. That's where I found the power of how to pull all this together and make it make sense. That's really the glue, because I started getting calls, guess what? Of them referring me. I started getting so many people, and that's how I become the magnet for opportunities, because I'm providing opportunities for others. I'm connecting others to opportunities. And they'll be like, how are you so great? The world is so abundant. I'm at a networking event every week. And for those who say they cannot find networking events, 3 things. 1, there is Meetup. Meetup Eventbrite. There's a social happening somewhere everywhere. They probably got Catfish Farmers United. They got all types of different types of groups and meetups and associations that you can join. People with commonality. And that will make that conversation piece that much greater. Because one of the things I found, even when I did work in corporate America, I don't think I got any job that I applied for. Every job I've gotten has been from a relationship. I worked at CBS in Atlanta. I worked at CBS in New York. I worked in real estate. All of these things, relationship. I applied for jobs now. I don't want this to get confused that I did not apply for jobs. I said I didn't get any job that I applied for. They were all due to relationship, people putting me in the room, people connecting me with the right person. So I would ask, would you rather get hired from a strenuous interview, or would you rather be having drinks and meet the person who owns the place? And they're like, oh, hey, I need somebody like you on the team. I've had that happen so many times from networking. Because at first I thought, oh, maybe it's just because of my career. But I went back and looked at even the high school that I went to. I was supposed to go to a whole different high school, and my life would have been totally different because my sister and brother went to those high schools. So I tell them all the time, my life changed. I remember when Dr. Fruitiger, he looked at me, he was like, you are the type that we want here in North Atlanta. All I did was say hi. I was like, hey, I was curious. And I was like, the pattern has been going on all my life. And I used to just think, like, how do I find myself in all of these fortuitous situations? Like, how do I see? And because to realize how hard it was to get into high school, like people had to test in, they had to pay. I know another girl, her family used to have to rent a house near the school just so that she can go to the school. Like all of these things, like it was, and I was like, I just said hi. And he said, don't worry about none of that. You're in. You'd be surprised at what a high would do. I didn't have to apply. I didn't have to take the class. I didn't have to so when people say I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z, and I'm looking like you haven't met the right person. When you meet the people at the top, they make things happen that you never thought possible. And I started getting used to that. Like I said, I thought it was just a fluke at first, but I started getting intentional about it. And when I got intentional about it, all types of deals opened up. Any room. Hell, I could be in the grocery store and make it a room, a networking room. And when you walk in confident and you walk in knowing your vision and what you need out the room, they thrive around me like a swarm of honeybees. That's how you get people to come to you. That is the true magnetism. But I'm grounded in what my vision is first, what I want out of it. And I'm intentional about that. So then when I come in contact with people, they're like, she knows what she wants. Yes, I do. Because I spent time thinking about it. Now, it may have been 10 minutes ago that I spent time thinking about it. Or maybe I went off to the corner and took a pause. Because remember, we got our app Pocket Sound Bath. But the DealMkr networking matrix helps to bring it all together and really understand how to work every room and get what you need out. So go back, review this. I really want to tell you too, networking. We talked about networking. One, going to the meetups, going to those elements. The second place I would say to go to find networking events, associations. There is an association for everything. That's what I was talking about, the Catfish Farmers United. There is an association for everything. When I was looking to get into media, who knew? There was the Emma Bourne Foundation. When I was looking to move to New York, who knew? There was IRTS. That was the International Radio and Television Society. So when I got into real estate, I was like, oh, what associations are over here? Start getting to, understood about Grant Cardone and start understanding the people that were in real estate and understanding those networking groups. There are REIAs. And I tell everybody, if you cannot find not one networking event ever, you need to take your behind down there to a REIA. And the reason I say go to a REIA, no matter what industry you're in, and a REIA being a real estate investor association. So I say it for short, REIA. Every state has a REIA. Here in Atlanta, we happen to have two because we got Atlanta REIA. So most major cities have a REIA as well, a real estate investor association, and a statewide. They're both located here in Atlanta. So the Atlanta one has over 30 events a month. The Georgia one has over 20 events a month. So between the two of those per month, there's at least 50 networking events that's happening. 50 networking events that's happening all around the city. So you don't tell, and that's in real estate. And the reason you want to go to a real estate networking event, even if you don't have anything to do with real estate, because of the other people that's going to be there. I was talking to a client of mine, actually. She's an educator, and she was looking to raise money for her venture and her thing that she was doing. And she was like, nobody invests. I don't know any investors. And then she mentioned that she was going to other educational conferences to network and meet people. And I'm like, well, naturally, going to those conferences to meet people, you may meet people around the same income status. Now, there may be more, but I don't know how much disposable income they may have with their families, their responsibilities, and all that they have to do. Plus, they're working right beside you. Now, I get it. Some people may be doing better than others, depending upon the county and all these other things. But I guarantee you, when you walk into a real estate room, they're dealing with numbers that you wouldn't even think. Like they would go, I remember going to my first deal, because as a wholesaler, they're like, oh, you want to get a cash buyer? I'm like, cash buyer? Who buying hundreds of thousands of dollars cash? Who got cash? So I'm going, you go in these real estate rooms, they're like, oh, 500, that's it, say less. He didn't flinch. I said 500. And I wasn't talking about $500. I was talking about 500,000. And he did not flinch. And he said, okay, cool. Where we're going to wire, we're going to set up closing. Here's why. I guarantee you the educational rooms that you're walking in are not talking about $1 million deals, $1 million losses, $1 million wins. All of these things happen at the REIA. And that's why I'm like, look, and when you go into these rooms, that's where you start finding the commonality. That's where you break the ice, because you're going to realize that these real estate investors, when I learned about cash investors, I didn't understand that, at the time that individuals moved that type of cash for deals, but they're still people. So I may talk to this person, and like I mentioned, somebody complimented me on my makeup. They wear makeup too. They want to look cute too. So if I got a makeup brand, I can go either make them a customer or I can make them a partner. What if they want to invest? Like, I've done this real estate. I need to diversify my portfolio. And here you are, the opportunity to what they have. Like I tell my friend, she's a vegan chef. I love her. And I tell her all the time, if you go to where other vegans are, great. You be one of many. I was like, Atlanta being Atlanta, we got a hot wing festival. Hot wing festival, yes. That is a real thing. It may be coming up soon. I need to get an affiliate link. But there is a hot wing festival. I was like, why not be the only vegan chef at a hot wing festival versus going amongst the other vegans? Like, how do you stand out? So it's actually more advantageous to go to a real estate networking event. And you're a part of a whole different industry, because not only can you connect with a potential investor there, but you never know what else they may be interested in, looking for, or they may be like somebody else looking to refer out. They're like, hey, I don't use your services or need makeup, but my girlfriend just mentioned that, because I found that happen a lot of times. Remember, I said the universe will play tricks on you like that, where you'll say something you need and it'll come in a strange way. Like, even now, I can't even fathom the many use cases for pocket sound bath and how people are using it. Somebody sent me that they're actually using it to test the yield for their plants. I would have never thought that. I would have known to, I can't say I have a green thumb. My grandma got a green thumb. But I would have never thought to see and test frequency on plants. But it came from a friend of a friend. It was like, oh, you're exactly what we need. We were missing sound. It was a referral. That's how it works. I can't tell you how many times throughout my career I've had money, I've lost it, I've had it again, and I've lost it, and I've had friendships and lost it. But what never failed was the power to meet new people. Because when you meet new people, there is always room for new opportunity, new moment, new beginnings, fresh moment where we can start anew, we can build, no one with preconceived notions, and we can build to what it is that I'm up to, what my call to action is now that I'm in this room, what I'm working on for this venture and the now. Because one of the things you'll see in other episodes is how the moment of pause ties you and anchors you into now, where I'm not worried about what's gonna happen. I'm not worried about what has happened, but I'm staying intentional about this moment. And when you connect with someone in a room and you set the follow-up, this is what your ecosystem is built from. These are relationships that money can't buy, but it's understanding what to do with it. You want to follow up with them as well. Be sure to keep the ball rolling. It's like a tennis match. You go, they go. You go, they go. And when you put these things into practice, I guarantee you it will shift everything. I'm curious. I would like to know from you. Have you tried any of these tactics? Have they worked? Comment below. As always, you tune into another episode of Ignition Zones, where we create this space for visionary leaders. Now, I'm hosting events myself, networking events. I coach people how to network and teach them how to get in the rooms to make them work for you. And you can leverage the power of what you get access to. So hit me up at Ignition Zones and comment below and tell me what you think. Like and subscribe to this channel for more information. As always, my name is Jessica Myers, and I've been your visionary architect. Visionaries, start your engines.